Welcome to the Epic and the Legendary Podcast, Episode 2. That's right. If you didn't catch Episode 1 with our good friend Mallory Monday as our guest, go check it out on our YouTube channel, guys. We got a brand new Epic and Legendary YouTube channel where all the full episodes of all of our podcasts will be listed. You can listen to it in full there. You can also listen to it on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all those guys. Also, while you're at our YouTube page, if you don't mind, just giving us a like and a follow. That helps us know that you're enjoying the content and we can keep bringing it to you. So, episode 2 today is coming at you fast and furious, guys. I'm excited about this. As I was editing this podcast, let me tell you, I was taking massive notes. Our guest today is not only an incredible real estate agent, he's a musician, a family man. He was an athlete in his younger days. His story is absolutely incredible, and the lessons that he learned along the way, I know a lot of you are going to be able to relate to. Remember, this is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's what Legendary is all about. So I'm going to shut up now and let's jump into the podcast, guys. I'm so excited to introduce you all to my business partner and really, really good friend, the one, the only, Mr. Jordan Brown. All right, welcome to the Epic and Legendary Podcast, guys. I am so excited today. I am joined by the one, the only, the legendary Mr. Jordan Brown. And Jordan is a longtime friend of mine. I've known Jordan for quite a while. I've watched him grow up in the business. And I have to tell you, what an amazing person with an amazing story who does some incredible things. You know, Jordan, this podcast is about ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And what I mean by ordinary is not like, you know, my mom always used to say this. She used to say, what's the fun of being normal, right? Being ordinary is not being normal. It doesn't mean you were born a superhero. That's what it means, right? You weren't ordinary. You're ordinary in the fact that you weren't born a superhero. You didn't have superpowers, right? But you're
Not
a
that I'm aware
person
of.
who's done extraordinary things, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
man. Thanks for
yeah, go
having
ahead.
me. First of all,
Yeah.
I'm super excited to be here. I know it's been a run, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm so proud of just where both you and I are in our real estate careers and respective pursuits that we're doing, and I'm just honored to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And full disclosure, Jordan and I actually work together in real estate. We're both part of the same brokerage. We're both part of the same team and group, and we get to work together every single day. And so I'm excited about this journey, Jordan. Let's just kick this thing off, man. I don't want to waste any time. So normally what we do here on the podcast is I just kind of want to know who you are, man. Where did you come from? If you want to tell us a little bit about your childhood, like how you grew up and where you grew up, that would be pretty cool. Like just give us the story, man. Give us the 411.
Yeah, I feel, it's funny. I feel like I'm a pretty boring. I feel like we get into this routine of thinking everyone experienced the same things that we did. And I grew up in Victoria, Texas. Victoria, if you don't know much about it, if you were to Google back in, I think, 2020, what the most boring city in Texas is, Victoria was your result according to Business Insider. So that's an idea where I come from. Growing up, I had two wonderful parents who supported everything that I did. I didn't go through what a lot of really successful people go through, which is the struggle of something in their childhood missing, or missing affection from one parent or the other, or some lacking aspect of their childhood. I had a pretty great, growing up. I was enrolled in sports. My family attended everything, super supportive. So I almost feel like everything I do has to live up to to the support that they gave me, right? I don't want to let them down in that regard. So yeah, growing up, I went to Victoria doesn't have the best, or at least didn't. I don't know what it ranks now, but Victoria had a very uh, lacking school system. I'll put it that way. So to give you an idea, my freshman class of high school students, we had 14, I think just over 1,400 people in my freshman class. So we were a large 5A school, and 550 graduated with me. So we came in, shout out Memorial High School, the class of 2010, the last of the MHS. The state came in and shut us down for being academically unacceptable. And our high school shirts, in fact, said Memorial High School, the end of an error instead of era.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so we had we knew who we were, but
That's
no,
funny.
it
So,
was great.
so just so everybody's listening, Victoria, so you're talking about Victoria, Texas, right? So for everybody that's listening
Yeah.
out there, especially if you're not from Texas, Victoria, Texas, down in South Texas, right? All the way down close to Mexico, right?
Yeah, if you are very close to the Gulf, it's probably still a little bit ways from like the border, but our big claim to fame in Victoria was that we're 2 hours from everything. So if you imagine 2 hours to Corpus, 2 hours to Houston, 2 hours to San Antonio, boom, we are right there in the middle. So our biggest thing, we would leave Victoria on the weekends, go have our fun somewhere else, and then we would come back and be miserable the rest of the weeks.
Well, I definitely know about that. I'm from a small town too, down in Southeast Texas called Mauriceville. And if you don't know where Mauriceville is, you don't know where Mauriceville is. It's literally in the
Right.
middle of nowhere. I think we had a stop sign. I don't know about you guys, but we had a stop sign. I think Victoria's a little bigger than this, but we had a stop sign and we had a Dairy Queen, and everybody hung out at the Dairy Queen. Oh, and we had a gas station named Crawdads. Because we were so close to the
No.
Louisiana border. They had the best fried burritos, by the way. They were so amazing. I probably why I have the health issues I do today, eating all those fried burritos. But nonetheless, that's there. So Victoria Tech, so high school, obviously, good experience for you. And you said something there I think is really important for people to understand is that we always talk about struggles in life, and sometimes we associate that with how we're brought up. And what people don't realize sometimes is that sometimes we had a really good childhood and we had all of these things and we were very fortunate. And that can lead to just as much struggle in trying to be successful in life as others, because just like you said, I'm trying to impress. I'm trying to live up to that
Yeah.
expectation. I'm trying to continue all of these things that I was so fortunate to have. So it has kind of the same effect, right? And
Yeah.
it's important with those lessons. So tell us some more, man. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to piggyback off of that, it doesn't matter if you had a childhood that you're trying to escape and make yourself out of something, or if you've been kind of positioned and given all of the advantages in life that you can imagine to then run with it. It's now
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Once you kind of break out of that supportive ecosystem, it's like, hey, we've done as much as we can for you. Go thrive.
Yeah.
And now you're like, okay, I got to go thrive.
Right.
So yeah, I was big into sports. I think that's where a lot of my competitive
Would
nature
you
came
what
from.
did you play? What did you play?
I played everything from I started with baseball, and then I got hit by a pitch one time, and I was like, yeah, I'm over this. Uh, and then I was never like super good at baseball. We won like a few of like the local city champs things, and then the straw that broke the camel's back for me was I was the very last out in our city tournament where we could have gone back to back. And it was full count. It was like the perfect movie scene where like you can show up and be the hero, and it's full count. The winning or like the tying run is on third base, and I'm at bat. And if I knock it out of the park, I'm going to be the hero. They're going to write about me in the newspaper, and I struck out. And so the shame of letting my team down and being that last out, something just stung me about it, and I could not go back to do another season.
Yeah.
But I did baseball, I did football, and I mentioned Victoria academics not being super great. My what was it? My middle school football team had exactly 12 players on it. So everyone played an offensive and defensive position because we had so many people get disqualified from being able to play. So in some regards, I think there's some really good takeaways from that. It's just like whatever life throws you, you got to be ready to just suck it up. Like, did it suck being offense and defense, getting no breaks? Absolutely. Did it make me a more well-rounded football player? I think so. So I
I mean,
did
I can
that.
think of a couple of lessons with that just right off the bat, like playing both sides of the ball. Like it's teaching you that you need to know all aspects of the game, right? All aspects of the business. It's just like what we do in business, right? You need to know everything in order to do it. You don't have to do it really well, right? I mean, but at the same time, you need to know all of those things in order to be successful. So I think that, and then also
100%.
too, you said about getting hit with that pitch in baseball, and letting the team down, right? So or letting yourself down. What a good lesson that is too, because you kind of
Yeah.
picked up and kept moving, right? That's a good lesson
Yeah.
on.
So, yeah, I mean, I look at it as there's when you are faced with a challenge, you've really only got two choices. It can either get the best of you or you can become better from it. And I've
Yeah.
always found that the winners and the people that I want to surround myself that are high performers never let a setback be the thing that derails them. They're always taking it, even if you take one on the chin, because if in any business venture or any life venture that's worth going on, there's going to be a setback. It's going to happen. I mean, even the most successful CEOs in America that run Fortune 500 companies, they didn't. have an idea and everything was smooth sailing from the start. They went through multiple obstacles. They went through multiple times of people telling them that they were crazy, that they couldn't do something for some reason or another. They took it on the chin, kept moving, they adapted, and now look at them. They're
Yeah.
the people everyone wants to be.
You know, one of my favorite shows that I recently watched, I just got done watching, I know it's been out for a while, was Ted Lasso. And Ted Lasso, there's a scene in there where something bad had happened, the team had lost or something of that nature. And he talks about the goldfish only has a 3 second memory and then they forget about it
Yep.
and they keep moving on, right? And that's a
Yep.
cool lesson. Sounds like you've learned some of that too. Like, hey, it happened. I can't change it. It is what it is, right? Which is my motto. It's tattooed right here. Let's move on. It sounds like you got some of that
Absolutely.
early on too.
Absolutely. And plus, the lesson that I also kind of relate to my current situation is being in real estate, there's a lot of different factors of real estate. Buy and sell. Sometimes you're representing a seller, sometimes you're representing a buyer. And it kind of translates to being on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I took lessons away from being forced to play defense, and I'd never done that before. So I could recognize when someone was kind of coming up and pretending they were going to blitz, and then really they fall back to spy on the QB. So I could identify that, not chase that person, blow up our play. And it's
Yeah.
kind of the same in real estate. I can see plays happening based on my knowledge of the market and having been through so many of the different varieties of situations that the markets are going to bring up. I can recognize when I'm being played by another agent or if I'm in control, and that's very helpful. So, well, take from it what you will. There
Yeah.
are being on both sides of the ball has absolutely helped.
Man, I have to say, what an incredible foundation you had because you learned so much from, and I say this all the time too, sports is such a great way to learn a lot of lessons, right? The biggest
Yeah.
ones that I think are the most important in success in life are discipline and consistency. In sports, 100% teaches that. If you look at like a collegiate level athlete type program, these are young men who, yes, they're coming from high school and they've got some talent and they've got some skill, but now they're learning the discipline. Now they're learning these things and it sets them
Yeah.
up for success. And people ask all the time, these athletes that don't play anymore and then they go off and run these big businesses and they're CEOs and they own all these companies. People are like, they were just an athlete. Where did they get that? It's because they learned the lessons while they were playing sports, all these lessons like the discipline and stuff that has led them to that success. And you apply
Yeah.
the same lessons in every single thing that you do, right?
Yeah.
100%. So I love that, dude. That's awesome. So
There's
yeah,
Yeah, real quick, last thing I'll say on that is I think such a big fan of sports and getting kids involved in sports because I look at if I wouldn't have done that, I would have had a kind of a delayed introduction into a team setting. It would have been because when you're all working
Mm,
towards an objective, which is either a win or just executing a play really well,
yeah,
there's so many things that go involved with that. When it's executed on all parts, typically that team is going to win or they're going
yeah,
to make the play as impactful as it can be. And then there's also a lesson in if someone in the 12 or I think it's 12 people on the field. I'm going to sound like such an idiot. My bad. I think is it 11 people? I think it's 11 people on the
Hey,
field
you
at
know
one
what? You
time.
sell real estate, brother. You don't have to worry about it. You're good.
Appreciate that. So if one of those people doesn't do their job, it compromises the play and therefore the team. So
Yeah,
there's a big lesson that you are just the part of something bigger, but you still got to execute and you've got to do your part because
yeah,
you've got other people relying on you. And I remember when I didn't perform well, I felt the heaviness of I let the team down, not just myself. I let the team down, and so much of what we do in real estate, particularly with our brokerage, with our group that we have, is I've got people relying on me, and if I
yeah,
take the day off, or if I'm not going to show up for them
yes,
for a play or something of that nature, whatever you will, it fails.
yeah.
So there's a I took that with me.
That's such a great lesson. I've been doing the coaching thing for several years, and I was at another brokerage where I was a productivity coach. And I remember I was going through some personal life things. And what you just said just really touched me because it's always good to hear other people say something that you can relate to or something that you went through because it always makes you feel like, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one
Yeah.
going through that. And at the time, I was going through a lot of personal things. And I remember all of these agents were expecting me to show up 100% every day. And I knew that if I didn't, I was going to negatively impact someone's life.
Yeah.
and what pressure that is, but also too, what motivation that is to be able to pick yourself up out of whatever it is that you're dealing with and be able to keep moving forward. I don't know about you, but me personally, I use other people as my motivation to be successful. Like
Yes.
I want to see the best in them. I want to see them succeed in every single thing that they do. I want them to be just profitable and happy and all of these things. And that's what drives me every day. And doesn't, sometimes I don't know about you, but and maybe you can speak to this, but sometimes when I'm feeling really depressed, I call up somebody like you, Jordan, or somebody else, and I just have a conversation and I go, man, just talk to me. Let's just talk about life. Let's talk about business.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about these other things right now. I need something to motivate me, pick me up, and keep me going. So when you said that, man, it just really touched me. It's so true that so many people do depend on us, no matter what you do. And anybody listen out there, I don't care if you're a CEO, I don't care if you own your own business, I don't care if you're an independent contractor, sales, whatever. There's somebody out there depending on you, whether it's somebody that you're selling a product to or somebody that works on your team or for you. Man, what a powerful testimony that is.
There's something that stuck with me from a conference I went to 2 years ago in Vegas, and we had this little breakout session. It was like, some days we don't want to, show up. We'll bargain with ourselves, right? I'm the easiest person to convince that I don't want to get up out of bed when it's cozy. But
Yes.
they said, think about who's depending on me today.
Mm,
Who's depending on me today? And that question really stuck with me because like you said, it doesn't matter if it's team setting, doesn't matter if you're an independent contractor, whatever form of work that you're doing, someone's relying on you.
that's right.
Whether it's your spouse, your partner, your kids,
Yeah.
your coworkers, someone is relying on you. Even whenever I worked at AT&T for 5 years, which was what I did before working in real estate, we had a thing where you could just call out and it would go against your sick days or your
Yeah.
vacation. And I never did that. Legitimately, I never did that because I knew what it was like when people called out on me and I'm like, dang, we're a man down. Like we're gonna get
Yeah.
slammed today. I
Yeah.
like I felt like if I was doing that, I was letting someone down.
Yeah.
And to even take it further, I know with myself, I mentioned earlier about bargaining with myself, getting another person involved makes accountability. That's
Mm,
the missing piece of a lot of people's business plans
yes.
is they'll make the plans for themselves and then it's like, "Oh, well, if I didn't do that today, well, it only affected me and I'm okay with not doing it, so I'm
Yeah.
good." Um, I looked at 2025 as an opportunity to really get serious about my goals. If you I know the listeners don't know a whole lot about me. I, for the most part, am not a big rah-rah guy, if that makes sense. Like I'm not a big like motivational speaker, kind of gets me going or anything like that. And then I looked at it and I go, I hopped on a call with Mike, one of our partners, and he mentioned something so simple that I've been told so many times before about writing your goals down. For some reason, this year felt different. And I was like, I'm going to get really serious. I'm going to take this seriously. Let me just buy into it for a second. And I'll tell you, the goals that I wrote down that day, which was January 8th, I know we're not that far removed, but I've executed them because another part of it was I let people know my goals. I shared
Mm,
with my wife what one of my goals were,
mm,
especially for my personal like fitness and health. I said I'm going to commit to doing this because I want to reach this weight by this date. And the way I'm going to get there is by waking up at this time and working out before my day gets started and doing it 3 times this amount of times per week. And so now I've involved another person and so if I don't show up, it's not just me that I'm disappointing. She knows that I didn't execute too.
yeah.
And it's cool because now we encourage each other too. Now
Yeah.
she's waking up to work out with me in the mornings. And it just becomes this really great system when you involve someone else because the accountability is there, you're sharing your goals. And if I wouldn't have said what my goals were, how can other people support me achieving those goals?
Yeah. And to even go a little bit further than that, I say this a lot, and I think it's true. Your attitude and your energy are contagious. And
Hmm.
so if you bring that into your relationships, whether they're working relationships, professional relationships, or whatever, that attitude then spreads. So like in our instance for us as a team, like if I bring my drama with me, even though I don't tell people what that drama is, if I bring that attitude and I bring that energy in, guess what that does? It spreads, man. It's like a
Yep.
contagious disease. I mean, and it spreads fast, right? Have you ever, and I don't, sometimes when you talk to people, you get this, right? Like if I'm in a bad mood, and I start having a conversation with somebody in a social setting, and I kind of have that demeanor about me that's like just not super positive, not the person I am. If you know anything about me, this is who I am all the time. But sometimes I do have bad days. I'm human like everybody else. But if I share that,
Yeah.
guess what? I see that in that other person. And now I have to work double hard to bring the energy back to the positive side, right? So there's so much to that. It's such a wonderful lesson to have. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Yeah.
take a quick break here, real quick, and then I want to jump back into your story. Let's move on from high school. Let's start getting into your professional career because you've done so many cool things, and you've got such an incredible business, man. I'm so excited for everybody to hear about what you're doing, and what the
Go.
future holds for you. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. What an incredible podcast, some more. I hope that you're enjoying it and I hope you're getting a lot out of it. I wanted to take just a quick second and explain what Epic and Legendary is because some people just don't know, and that's okay. Yes, it is the name of a company. It is a business coaching and consulting company. It's one that I own. I am a coach, and that is what I get to do for a living. It's such an honor to get to do it every single day. But Epic and Legendary is not just the name of the company, it's actual lifestyle, and it's what we teach and coach here. It's not just about the mechanics of how you do your business. It's about the mindset and who you have to become. You know, often they say it's not necessarily about the goal, it's about who you have to become in order to achieve the goal. That's what we're doing here at Epic and Legendary. So if you've got some incredible goals or some big goals for 2025, reach out to me and let's have a discussion about coaching, because I promise you, if you want to crush your goals, you're wasting time. Let's get together, let's talk about it, let's create a journey and a path for you to make you this most successful you've ever been in your entire life and step into the greatness that you absolutely 100% deserve. Guys, go forth, be awesome, be epic, be legendary. Let's get back to the show. And welcome back to the Epic and Legendary Podcast, Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. We're joined by Jordan Brown today, who's telling us his story and some incredible lessons we've talked about so far, man. What a great conversation this is. I love this stuff. I'm a nerd for it. So let's talk, let's continue the journey. So we play a lot of sports. We had a pretty good childhood growing up. We had a lot of expectations that we had to meet, right? Let's start to move into our young adult life and kind of where that journey took us.
Yeah. So I'm a huge metalhead. I am a
Yeah.
metal enthusiast through and through. And so funny enough, I was in a metal band from my junior year of high school up until I think I was like 25. And
Wow.
that's where it's kind of cool. So this is going to come full circle, I promise. I'll try not to get too off the rails here. But it took me 5 years to get a 2 year degree because I thought I was going to be a rock star. So,
Me too.
so hey, there we go. Like it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But there was something about finding a passion early on and pursuing it and trying to do it at a high level that most people kind of ignore the itch to do. And
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for that time because not just the connections that it introduced me to, but kind of the work ethic in a really weird way. So, for example, we had to promote music videos. We had to promote shows. We were, try like it wasn't like a metal band that played at your local dive bar at in your hometown
Right.
7 times a month. We were touring around the US. Like we did full blown US tours. And so we would be in like Pensacola, Florida, and I don't know anyone in Pensacola, Florida, but we don't want to play in an empty bar. So what
Right.
me and my now business partner, John Michael Perez, would do, because he was in the band with me, is we would go to somewhere like Guitar Center and we would bum the Wi-Fi and sit down there and we would go around and add people on Facebook who looked like they would like our music. Maybe they were wearing a band t-shirt, maybe they had the piercings, the tattoos, the wild hair. And we would just simply send them a message that says, "Hey, I'm in a band from Texas. We're in your city and we're playing a show either tonight or tomorrow night. It's at this time. If you check us out and you dig what you hear, please come check us out." That was business.
Yeah.
Like it, and if you would have asked my parents, we're just a bunch of kids in a van living a weird dream. But there were actual business principles within that. And a lot of the ways that we promoted our stuff then, I'm doing now in my real estate business. I make sometimes short form funny content. We did that for shows. We did that for music videos. And it's cool because you also learn a lot about people when you're in a very interesting predicament. I mentioned that I'm in business now with John Michael Perez. I was his first real estate client, and now I'm his business partner. I met John in high school. We did this whole band thing together. We saw each other when we were dirt poor and faced with absolute ridiculous scenarios, like being like a tire blowing in Moreno Valley, California, that almost killed us. Uh, getting taken advantage of by the people who are coming and fixing our tire. And you just learn a lot about people's work ethic.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't gone through that, I don't know that John and I would be in business together today. But
Yeah.
I saw and I recognized and I go, this guy's a winner. We're doing something as silly as pursuing this metal band dream, and we are working our absolute asses off to get it done. How silly is that? And then now I know that when he's in real estate and I get into real estate, who am I going to partner with? I'm going to
100%.
partner with the guy that I just went to battle with for $20 a night,
Yeah.
split 5 ways. That's who I'm going to go to battle with.
Hmm.
And it's been one of the best moves that I could have ever made because we can depend on each other.
Hmm.
We know what the work ethic of each other was like because no disrespect to the other guys that were in the band, but they didn't do nearly as much as we did. When we needed a van to transport ourselves around the country, who were the people that got it done? Me and John. When it came
Yeah.
to promoting, who did it? Me and John.
Yeah.
So that taught me a lot of lessons, and I'm really thankful for that time. I'm glad it's over. Because, I mean, dude, we'd be sleeping in Yuma, Arizona during the summer, and it'd be like 102 in our van, just sweating our butts
Yep.
off trying to sleep.
Yep.
But what a character building
Yeah.
venture that was. And
Yeah.
I'm really thankful because I got to pursue it. I kind of got it to the probably the point that if I could redo it, I'd probably still kind of cut it off there. Um, because what a way that it's turned out. It's been
Yeah.
really great to see this transition.
Yeah, huge shout out, by the way, to John Michael. He's actually gonna be on the podcast in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited about that.
Let's go.
Talked to him today, and we confirmed it. We're setting it all up, so excited to have him on. He's phenomenal. But music, same, right? So I was a musician as well, and I can so relate to that. The road life is not easy, and not only
No.
that, but you talk about self promotion. What an awesome lesson that is, right? Because as independent contractors, especially as real estate agents, that's what we have to do. Like,
Yeah.
real estate agents get their license and they think their phone is just going to start ringing after they're licensed, right? Oh, people know I'm in real estate now, so people are just going to call me. And that's just not how it works. Like, you have to go out there and create your own brand, your own marketing, and attract people to you, and then also go get that business. And so, music did that. I don't know about you, but music also taught me a lot about time management. It taught me a lot about how to build relationships with people because you meet so many different people, especially when you're touring all over the country. I did a lot of the same stuff, and you know, people in different states are different than people in Texas.
Yeah.
Texas are different than depending on what part of the country. So you learn how to work with different personalities and bar owners and venue owners, and sometimes you learn how to get a free meal. Like all
Yeah.
these things are
Yeah.
like such valuable lessons. Music, we were talking about sports earlier before the break, and for me, I wasn't an athlete. I didn't I just not. I'm just God did not bless me with athletic ability. Totally fine. It is what it is. I don't care.
Me neither, but there were only
Yeah.
12 of us available. So
But music was it for me, and it paid for my college and it got me out there and allowed me to tour and go experience all these things. And man, the music teaches you so much. I encourage, I get an opportunity sometimes to go speak to high school students around the area, and I always encourage them to get involved in either sports or music because, and I think you said that earlier too. You love it when kids are involved in that because it teaches you so much. It gives you
yeah.
such this foundation for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And there was regarding music, it's just one of the extra things in your tool belt that you
Yeah,
can relate to someone on
yeah,
because part of our business is I'm not help everyone that I help is not someone that I know. Like I just got a call today at lunch. Someone in my neighborhood saw that I'm a realtor in our neighborhood Facebook page, and they reached out and I have to go, or not have to. I get the opportunity to go and meet with this person, and while I'm there, part of what I do as a realtor to try to ensure that I'm the best option for you. I don't want to just hear about the house. I want to hear about you. And it's hard sometimes to find that common ground with people. But music, for example, if I see that they have a record laying around in their house and I like that band too, I'm going to bring it up because
Absolutely.
it's going to be something that we can
Yeah.
relate on.
Yep.
People always think that we're all so different, and at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we're really not. Like we all are passionate about different things, but they're passionate about maybe a certain kind of music that I don't know about. But
Right.
we all can relate on some level.
And
Some
music is such a
people,
universal language too. It doesn't matter where you
yeah,
go; it breaks language barriers. And it doesn't. You can go to another country that doesn't even speak English, and they can't understand you. But if you play a song, they'll be able to relate to that. How cool is that?
yeah, yeah.
Such a universal language. That's awesome, man. So music. So obviously, a lot of lessons there. Big part, I would assume, of what has brought you a lot of success in your life. So, how did we leave music? What made us decide? Hey, man, I don't want to do this anymore.
Look, man, I was 25. I was recently engaged, and funny enough, we actually got a we had two record label offers, and we were sitting there, kind of at the pinnacle of everything that we had worked for since we were sophomore, juniors in high school, right? And you're sitting there going, "There's got to be like, is this it?" like, we were looking, and look, when you're just to kind of subdivide this. Music already is a crazy business. It's very not in the artist's favor. Record labels control a whole lot of stuff. And
Right.
when you're in a metal band, the chances of becoming big enough and being successful enough that you're going to really maintain any kind of lifestyle is just non-existent. And because the you've already eliminated 80% of the potential listeners from caring about your music at all.
Sure.
Now you got to really hone in on the 20% and just
Yeah.
to try to make something
In
happen.
hopes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had two record label offers, and two of our members quit our band to go join another band who was on a bigger record label. And now we were looking at a 3 year setback. We were going to have to find new members. We were going to have to sit on this album and release it eventually. And I'm sitting there going, I don't want to do this. Like, I've got people in my life that I care about that are depending on me to become something. And the setback is like while at the time it was heartbreaking because like I said, John and I worked so hard for basically 7 8 years of just the constant grind towards something, and it didn't work out.
Hmm.
But sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is you don't get what you think you want.
Can you say
Because
that
I
one
like
more time? Say that one more time because that's important.
sometimes the best thing that'll happen to you is not getting what you think you want.
I love it.
And it completely changed my the whole trajectory of my life. It really did. If I would have continued to pursue that, I can't imagine where I'd be right now because I know people in the industry and their lives are a lot different. They no disrespect to them. It's just not one that I wanted to live with my goals and my fiance and my now wife, my child that I have now. I had goals that were past this kind of teenage dream that we had. And so we stopped that. Time to get professional. I'm 25 and I'm like, I have an associate's degree. It took me 5 years to get. What am I going to do? So I moved to Austin to follow kind of where John was. He was my best friend. So I followed where he was. It was my first time leaving Victoria. And I've been in Austin ever since. I'll give you a funny story real quick. When I moved here, I sold all my band equipment to pay rent because I had no job and I just took a chance on Austin. And I was interviewing around, and I could either go to a print shop, which is where I worked during the band days. I worked in the print industry for about 7 years. That was doing like magazines, postcards, banners, brochures, business cards. Um, or I could go interview at this car dealership where John's wife worked. The car dealership was by far the strangest interview I've ever been in. The guy sat down and he was like, I kid you not, this isn't like a movie scene or something. He sat down, he goes, "So Jordan, you want to guess how much I made last year?" I'm like, "No." Like, what are we talking about? And he's like, he throws his like W-2 at me or something, his tax return, and he goes, "Read that number right there." And I'm like, 180,000. He goes, "So do you want to go work at a print shop or you want to come work for me? And he goes, you can see I'm not attractive. I'm not special at anything,
Oh
and I
my
made that much
God.
money. And I was like, this is the weirdest. I feel
Wow.
like I'm in like a weird dream. So I worked at the print shop. I
Yeah.
went to what was safe.
Yeah.
Um, so I did that for a little bit, and I wanted to talk about the print shop real quick because there's a lesson here.
Hmm.
I went to what was comfortable. I was crushing it over there. Like there was, I was still only making like, and this was the most guaranteed money I'd ever made in my life. I was making probably like 28, 30 grand.
Hmm.
Um, and I was there and I saw a job opening over at AT&T where I mentioned that I did end up going to. And I went to my boss and I said, hey, boss, I'm thinking about moving careers. I feel like I bring a lot to the table. I'm interested in getting a raise, right? A lot of people don't ask for a raise.
Right.
And I felt comfortable in asking it because I felt like I was outperforming the person next to me who had been there before me, and shown what I bring to the table. And I'll never forget, it was a no. And then immediately they were like, well, Jordan, you can earn 1%. Like, do you not realize the opportunity in front of you? You can earn 1% on all your orders. And I'm like, bro, I got to sell what, $1 million in business cards, like to make a living here. Like, I've got a wife that I'm trying to provide for.
Yeah.
Um, and so while it was scary, I left the thing that I was comfortable with to go try this new venture of AT&T. It basically doubled my salary, and so it was kind of a bet on myself
Hmm.
to take a chance on something because I knew that if it didn't work out, I could probably get a job at a print shop somewhere else and come fall back to it. But you have to at some point take the educated and like the courageous step forward into some unknown venture and see what it can do for you.
Mm. Yes.
That was my big thing is someone told me no, and I went, I feel like I can, and I
Yeah.
just went for it.
Yeah.
So, and while that may be like there's probably people listening going, well, that wasn't really a big step or this or that. Like for me, it was. For
Yeah.
someone who only had an associate's degree, who had only been in the degree, like I felt like I was putting kind of some self-limiting beliefs on myself. And then I was like, well, you know what? I've hit a point where I want to make this step. And so I did
Yeah.
that, did it for 5 years, and then I got into real estate. I got sick and tired of the soul crushing void that is the corporate ladder and the politicking involved with all of that. And so I took a chance on real estate because again, I had a best friend that was in it. I had bought my house. I was John's first client and I had an opening. And
Yeah.
again, one of the absolute scared shitless moments in my life was leaving this now, at the time 80K was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And leaving that security to go into the entrepreneurial journey was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy. So much there. So stepping out of your comfort zone. I mean, this is a lesson we talk about a lot. Life lives outside the comfort zone, and you obviously identified that, but and you identified it by something else we were talking about earlier, is those people that depend on us. We use
Yeah.
that as our reason to say, hey, you know what? There's people counting on me, man. I gotta change some things, right? And so many people are scared of change, Jordan. I don't know why they're so scared of change. Change can be a really, really good thing. Yes, it can be bad in some cases. I mean, we all know that, right? It can create some negativity around our lives, but change
Yeah.
can be such a powerful thing. And so many people out there are doing the same thing they've been doing for years and years and years and years, and they think they're at the pinnacle of what it is that they deserve, but they deserve
Yeah.
so much more, so much more.
You know
Um,
what I think? You know what I think that's from? No one gave anyone permission to go be great. No one gave us permit no one gave
yes,
us permission to
yes,
ask for better or expect better for
yes.
ourselves.
Oh my
I
gosh.
when I was growing up, the literally the entire thing was, all right, Jordan, you're going to go to school, you're going to do really good, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a 4-year degree, you're going to go work for some corporation, you're going to work your ass off for 30, 35, 40 years, and then you're going to retire and you're going to die. And I was like at some point you start questioning and you go like, man, is that really it?
Yeah.
And so I think you just have to allow yourself, like, if no one else does, give yourself the permission to try something really
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. And also too, you said something, I want to go back to this just real quick and then we'll move on. But you asked for the raise. You know, people don't ask for what they want anymore. And I've actually done a lot of research and study on this. And what I found is that as children, we're trained to not ask for what we want. Our kids, like if a kid
Hmm.
wants something, what does he do? He's like, I want, give me, give me, give me, give me. And what do we do as parents? We tell them, shut up, go mind your business. You're not
Mm-mm.
getting that, right? And so we're
Yep.
trained at an early age to not ask for what we want, right? So as adults, we
Yeah.
have to retrain ourselves to go ask for it. I do this
100%.
when I coach agents in business about going out and getting the business and closing the deal. Close the deal by asking for the business. If you don't ask for the business, what are you doing? You're just wasting time. You're wasting that person's time. You're wasting your time. You were there
Yeah.
for a reason. Ask for it, right? And if you
Yeah.
don't ask for it,
100%.
they're not obliged to just give it to you.
Yeah. I usually leave some, like, again, I have this 4 p.m. meeting. I leave all my stuff by saying, have I addressed all of your concerns? And is there anything outstanding that wouldn't make me the obvious choice to work with?
Yeah.
Like, I'll ask them that. And then I do kind of an assumed close. That's one thing that I do in my business is with real estate. I'll try to kind of position it to where I already have something in motion and you now have to tell me if you're not going to use me. So I'll say something like, "Great, when can I have the or could I get the photographers out here next Tuesday at 3 p.m.?"
Mhm.
And and that'll force them to be like, "Oh, well, hey, I'm talking to someone else." Okay, great. I must have not addressed something for you. Is there something else that you wanted to ask before I leave that would make, that's preventing me from being the obvious choice?
Right. I heard this
Yeah.
guy on this video the other day talk about the 1 to 10 close. Have you ever heard about this?
Mm-mm.
So basically, what he does when he's in a closing situation is he sits him down at the end of his pitch or whatever he's trying to do, and he says, "Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, one being least likely, 10 being most likely, how willing are you willing to work with me at this particular point in time?" And a lot of times they'll give you like I'm like a 5 or a 6 or a 7, and then he goes back and he says, "Great, what do I need to do to get you to 10?" Or what
I
am I
like it.
missing that's not getting you to 10? And sometimes there's two answers there. Sometimes they'll say something that goes, oh, you know what? I totally forgot to cover that. I actually do provide that. Here it is. Now we're at a 10. Let's go work together. Right.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times people are just they don't, they're scared, right? They're scared to make that commitment or that change or whatever it is. Right. And they'll go, well, I just don't really. And then at that point, now you've got another in and yourselves to be able to close them at that 10 as well. Right. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting technique too. And we'll talk more about that in real
I
estate. We're
like
going to
it.
take just a
My,
quick break though, Jordan, real quick. And when we come back, I want to pick up where we left off. And I want to talk about real estate. You also do a podcast as well. I want to make sure we promote that. And you do a lot of cool things. So let's get to that. We're going to take a break real quick, guys. We'll be right back. Epic and Legendary is so honored to partner with Shaklee, an amazing health and wellness company providing incredible vitamins and nutrients, skincare products, house cleaning products, all of these things that are truly extremely organic that will bring positivity to your life. Health and wellness is such a huge foundation of personal growth. And if we're not right here and here, the business part, it just never works. So if you're interested in Shaklee, head over to my website at theepicandlegendary.com. Click on the Shaklee tab up at the top. It'll bring you to this page where you can then click over to the store and see all the different products that are there. And if you have questions, just reach out to us. There's also opportunities if you'd like to be an ambassador, maybe making a little extra money on the side as well. So reach out to us right now. Now, go forth, be awesome, be epic, be legendary. Let's get back to the podcast. And welcome back to the Epic and Legendary Podcast. I'm joined by Jordan Brown today, realtor, family man, father, business entrepreneur. This guy does a little bit of everything, and we've been listening to his story today, and what's gotten him into this point in his life where he's had some success. And what I want to talk about now, man, is really the meat and potatoes of where you are now. We've talked about where you came from and how you grew up. We've talked about sports. We've talked about music. That was a huge part of your life. We talked about this transitional phase from going into AT&T and from the print company. And every single time it feels like you're just constantly leveling up, which seems to be the theme with anybody who's found success in their life is this constant ladder that they're constantly stepping up. And
yeah.
so you got into real estate, man. Tell me how this happened and what was that like for you in the very beginning?
Yeah. I mean, obviously terrifying. You're leaving the comfort of a W-2 job that is making you the most money you've ever made in your working career to pursue the unknown. And that was, but the unknown is kind of, while it's intimidating, it's also what motivates me
Yeah.
because my earning potential is all on me. I can't really blame anyone else for how much I'm going to make or no don't make. If I believe in myself enough, I'm going to be successful. And so right now, getting into real estate, it was during the pandemic, terrifying time to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just a very tense moment for everybody. And like I said, I just had enough. I was like, you know what? I'm good with the corporate stuff. I feel like I could always come back here. If there's any lesson in anything that I've done, never leave a bridge burned. You
Mm.
never know whenever you're going to need those connections. The print shop that I left, who denied me my raise, I still have a great relationship with them. I get some of my signs made from them whenever I'm in a pinch, and so I still have a great rapport. I've helped people, some of the employees there find leases or look into buying homes.
Mhm.
So never burn your bridges.
Never.
But whenever I started, even at this big box brokerage, they wanted to put me in this box, and I didn't recognize it early on. I joined up, I heard how great the training was, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go over here. This seems like the natural new agent place to land. And then it ended up not being what I thought it was. But one thing about me, in for better or worse, is I'm a very loyal person. And so I felt like this company, this team took a chance on me. And even though I feel like I'm not being invested into, I stayed. And I said, I'm going to give it 1 year. I want to make sure that I put my best foot
Mm.
forward and that I'm not getting, uh, or I'm feeling undeveloped by my fault, that I didn't give 100%. Looking back on it, while I think that was a somewhat noble thing to do, I think it really stunted my real estate career. I wonder where I would have been sooner if I would have uh, expected more, but it just felt like it was new. I didn't really know, I guess, what I was supposed to be feeling. So I use that now and where I'm at now as leverage because I know a lot of agents feel that way, and they're getting tons of information about, oh, you got to go here because the cap is this, the split is this, the
Yeah.
the training is this, and there's so much more to it than just that.
Yeah.
So I went from big box. I went down to I left there after the year, went down to a local brokerage where I was runner up for realtor rookie of the year, which was really cool for me. Had a really explosive time that year. Dabbled in a little bit. I flipped some houses, which was something absolute terrifying as well. And but I'm so glad that I did it because it taught me again just another tool in the tool belt to be able to relate to somebody whenever
Yeah.
I'm talking to them now. And um, now I'm with a nationwide or actually a worldwide brokerage, which with a lot of tools, and it seemed like it fit our culture, our values, the tool set that I needed. Everything just kind of aligned. And it's great because now I have like 47 partner agents over at this brokerage.
Yeah.
And it's this fantastic culture where everyone just wants to see everybody win. Whether you are directly partnered with someone or not, there's people always stepping in to help. And that's the kind of culture that I wanted to be a part of. So I'm really, really stoked that we saw the opportunity to really build something and we're doing it.
Yeah, and we can say the name. It's EXP. I'll say it
Okay.
because I'm licensed there as well. I still do real estate. I have the coaching business with Epic and Legendary, coaching and business coaching consulting. But I also am a licensed realtor. That's my background and where I came from, and it's what led me to doing what I'm doing today. So EXP is fantastic. We're actually part of a group called the Wolf Pack. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. Shout out to all the Wolf Pack folks here
Let's go.
nationwide. And so, yeah, so EXP, so real estate, tell us a little bit. So business is good. You had a child as well. And so, that was a huge part of your life. Tell us a little bit about what it's like now to have gone through everything that you've gone through, all the lessons that you've learned, and how you apply them on a daily basis to your success.
Wow. What a question. Well, I mentioned earlier that you have people depending on you. We're in a team system. And I think it's just been amplified 10 times now that I have a child and now that I have a real estate team. If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I ever thought that I'd have 47 partner agents who, in some way, shape, or form, are trusting me to help build their business, they've got families that are relying on them and therefore kind of me too, to make something happen. It's a big responsibility that I don't take lightly. I know what it's like to be let down. I know what it's like to have partners that promise the moon and then don't. And so part of what's important to me is the delivering side. One thing that's really great about our dynamic within our real estate team is I'm able to leverage other people's strengths against my weaknesses.
Hmm.
So there's places that I'm deficient as far as just my, in my personality and the way that my brain works. I think that I'm a pretty safe player, and I need more people around me who think big. And so people like John, you, and other partners that I have now, they think big, and I get to play a very detailed portion of that. So we get to play into our strengths. John will come up with a an idea, and I'm going, man, I would have never thought of that. But now let's talk about the details, because that's
Yeah.
where I get good, and John maybe is deficient there. So it's great because we're kind of filling each other's cups
Yeah.
and making it work. So it just amplifies. So like as you scale and you get bigger, you've got more people relying on you, more people that are going to hold you accountable, and the stakes are high too, because they're relying on you for income and to make things happen.
So there's two more things that I want to ask you. The first one is, what does the average day look like for you? A lot of people think that we kind of run around like chickens with our heads cut off, which is kind of true in a lot of ways. I don't know about you, but I
Certainly
know
can
I
be
do,
that
right?
way. Certainly
What-
can be that way.
Yeah. So what does an average day look like for you, and how do you manage the work-life balance to make sure that you're spending the time with family and friends? Like how do you manage that?
Yeah, great question. If you would have asked me whenever I first started my real estate career or earlier on, there were a lot of things that were missing that I've now implemented into my life. I think that's part of being adaptable and taking what works and what doesn't, and making changes based on that. So I'll give you an example. When I was early on in my real estate career, I wanted to take anything and everything, any and every opportunity that came by. I didn't know how to vet someone on if they were serious or not, or if they're being realistic or not, if they're going to be a big time waster. Like it, and I know like I'm being kind of like brash about it, but you learn pretty quickly that people sometimes aren't as serious as they sound
Yeah.
like they are.
Right.
And that's a skill. That is a learned skill of going through. And so now I have boundaries where if someone will not hop on a phone call with me to discuss buying or selling, they're not serious. Like, and otherwise I would have been like, oh, cool, you don't want to hop on a phone call? Like, cool, let's just text. And then like now anyway, that's one example. And there's been a lot of those little lessons that have happened. For the most part, I mentioned I'm not a rah-rah person. Um, I've been listening to a few more of those people now. I've been time blocking a lot. If you look at my calendar, it's booked out. I have some non-negotiables of things that I'm going to do every single week that are going to be goal oriented. They're going to get me closer to my goal. So whether that's content creation or following up with my database, it's all on my calendar. Because if it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. We just You mentioned, making sure that we're available for family. I know that once I'm home at like 6 o'clock, unless I have a buyer client that I'm out showing houses for, 6 o'clock is kind of my cutoff time.
Yeah.
That's family time.
Yeah.
And I used to not do that. It used to just be like, oh, I've got to at the drop of a hat go do whatever for anyone. It
Mhm.
can wait. Like I've got a kiddo now. I've got a wife that is, we still have a relationship. It's not over. Like we have to continue to feed and pour into each other. And so if I'm letting other people run my show, then there's things that are going to fall in the cracks. And I don't want that to be my family, because
Yeah.
they're the most important thing in this entire world to me.
Yeah.
So it's healthy boundaries,
Yeah.
telling people like, hey, for example, I have a lease client right now who is very, how do I respectfully say, all over the place, and wants to see houses across like 6 cities,
Yeah.
all of this. That's a low priority item for me compared to some of the other things I have going on today.
Right.
So but being able to respectfully say, hey, this afternoon looks really busy for me. I will let you know whenever I can get to this. And it is still a priority for me, but I do have other items that on the agenda today.
Yeah.
And I used to be scared to tell people that because I felt like I was letting them down.
Yeah.
And I have this really I had this really big issue about wanting to be everything to everyone all the time. And that's a hard thing to overcome for someone like myself who feels like if I don't if there's you can do everything right for so long and it takes one time and then someone doesn't believe in you anymore or they don't
Yeah.
trust you
Yeah.
or you blew it up, right? Like your
Yeah.
reputation's gone with them. And I realized that not a I'm probably the only person who thinks that.
Yeah.
John and I talked about we wonder how many missed opportunities we have in our lives and our businesses because we are looking at it from the lens of someone else that doesn't exist. We're looking at it from this predestined or like predetermined thought about ourselves, and we're projecting that onto what other people may or may not feel about us.
Yeah.
So it's determining and dictating our actions. And we're like, what if we got rid of that lens and
Mhm.
we just went?
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? So
Yeah, my favorite way to explain the whole being able to say no and having priorities is the Chick-fil-A philosophy. I love Chick-fil-A, by the way. I'll just say it. I'm one of those people. I love the
same
Lord's
here.
chicken, love the Lord's chicken, but I always want the Lord's chicken on Sundays, and they're not open on Sundays. And
Yeah.
it drives me nuts, but that's their belief system, and I dig it, right? They stick to it, they don't apologize for it. But what do I do on Monday? I go get the Lord's chicken. Just because I couldn't get it on Sunday doesn't mean that I hate them now and I'm not going to buy their product or support them. I'm 100% still going to do it on Monday. And
Yeah.
that's so true in our business, right? And we have to get to that point where we have to understand there are boundaries that we have to respect and we have to adhere to and make sure that we're having those non-negotiables in our calendars and making sure that we're giving the attention to our why, right? And most of our why,
Hmm.
for most folks, is family, kids, wives, spouses, partners, things of that nature. And it's so important that we take care of that work-life balance, man. Gosh,
Yeah.
what I think, honestly, that's probably one of the hardest lessons in business is learning how to do work-life balance. I've talked to a lot of successful people and CEOs and business owners and things like that, and I always ask them this question, and they always say the same thing. They use some sort of analogy that's very similar to Chick-fil-A. There's boundaries. You have to set boundaries. You have to
Hmm.
turn that phone off at a certain time. I was married for 13 years, and my ex-wife and I, that we had an agreement like by 6:30 my phone was off unless it was an emergency or somebody that needed something immediately. I wasn't doing it. If it was somebody just to call me to talk about a contract that we can talk about at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's where I'm going to get it. And I used to tell clients too, when I was working with them, hey, listen, if you text me after 6:30, 7 o'clock, you're going to get my text return about 5:36 in the morning when I get up and start my day, because
Yeah.
that's when I'm working. So, this is my business. You're getting my services. We're on my time.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
important. And then the second thing to do that, you talk about priorities. I just want to throw this out there. I've always prioritized. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I always prioritize it when it's coming to non-negotiables in my calendar. It's faith, family, new business, existing business. Period. In that order.
Yeah.
I always do new business first and very first thing in the morning. Anything that's come in new, I want to make sure that I'm touching them immediately because we know how that process works, right? We want to make sure we
Yeah.
get lead in and cumulative. And the existing business is still
Speed
going to
the
be there.
lead.
Yeah, and the
Yes.
existing business is there. It's going to be there. And so, man, I love that. So you've got so much cool stuff going on, man. I want to take one quick break before we wrap things up. And when we come back, I just want to talk about what's ahead for you, man. What's in store for Jordan, and some of the things that you got your eye on, and some of the other cool stuff that you do. I know you're a mentor in the mentor program with EXP. I know you've got a podcast. Like, you got all kinds of stuff going on, man. So I just want to mention some of that stuff and let people know that, hey, man, once you get to this level, man, this is where the fun really starts. We get to do all these cool
Yeah.
things. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Epic and Legendary podcast. My name is Jonathan Richards. I own a company called Epic and Legendary. This is about ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. We're joined today by Jordan Brown. Jordan, longtime friend of mine, business associate. We partner together. We do real estate together. We do a lot of stuff in the same realm, in the same industry. And I've always just been super impressed with everything you've done, Jordan. And thank you so much for sharing everything today. I know sometimes some people don't like sharing with their journey about how they got from where they are to where they are. But I think the power of testimony and story is so huge because as humans, we want to find something to relate to. That's what pulls us
Yeah.
along. It's what allows us to see that we can do it too, right? We're not the only ones in life who may be born to different circumstances or a certain set of circumstances. Like we all have the ability to step out of the box, step out of that comfort zone like you have, and really better themselves and create success. So I just want to talk just real quick, kind of wrap things up. You got a lot of stuff going on. Tell us a little bit about some of the other stuff. I know you're a mentor. I know you got the podcast. Like, tell us about some of these other things that you got going on.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm loving being a dad.
Yes.
Little Landon came into my life and just absolutely rocked our worlds. It's I feel like millennials did a really good job of gatekeeping how cool being a parent was. They made it sound like it was pretty awful, and it's the best, like the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life is becoming your dad. So
Yeah.
that's been really awesome. I love that I've been able to achieve this to get to a point of work-life balance that I haven't missed a milestone, haven't missed an appointment, things like that, things that are really important to me. Yeah, I am a mentor within eXp Realty. So that means that when a new agent is, they're brand new into the industry, it kind of goes by location. So if someone is up here in the north side of Austin and they need a mentor to be paired with, it will send me and other mentors a request. And I have about 32 mentees right now.
That's a lot, dude.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And there's been some lessons learned within that experience that you can only do so much for people. They've got to show up and want things too. And that's okay. I used to take things really personally if a mentee or a partner didn't work out. And I think that there's responsibility both ways. And I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force it to drink, right? So I can introduce you to tools and resources, but I can't make you utilize them,
Yeah.
or to want to show up for your real estate business yourself. So there's been some really great personal lessons involved with even the loss of partners or mentees. As crazy as that sounds, like it's helped me get used to the fact that not everyone is like me or is going to go into things 100% like you want them to. That's part of life. Um, yeah, and the podcast, John Michael and I have a podcast called, we're currently going through a possible rebrand phase, but we're currently called the Real Estate Virgins Podcast,
I
which
love
is
that.
aimed at newer agents who wanted to hear what producers are doing and hear from. We interview people from all over across different brokerages in our area that are absolutely crushing it. There's lots of great little tips and tricks in there if you want to check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, this year is going to be really about growth in all aspects of the word for my personal development. With everything, before you and I hopped on, we talked about how even how I show up to my agent meetings with my partners. I
Mhm.
feel like there's a different level of expectation, or like I want to show up for them.
Yeah.
And so as everything from as little as throwing on a coat, a suit jacket or something
Yeah.
to show that like I'm taking this serious, I'm bringing one of my best versions of myself forward for you. Um, there's that. There's everything from my give back to my clients, to my past clients. I'm trying to be more generous. I'm trying to find ways to enrich people's lives who have trusted me with their, one of the biggest purchases or sales or moves in their lives. I don't take that lightly, so I want to give back to those people. And then now also growing in the aspect of growing our team, I've got a big goal of how many agents I want to partner with this year, certain sales goals that I want to hit for both myself and my team. So I'm chasing that, and it's just about growth. I've been really pleased with what the last year has looked like, and now I look at how can I compound it, and how can I do for others what someone did for me with real estate. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find ways to pay things forward.
So we said that whole everything in your life has just been one step on the letter round, right? It looks like you're taking that next step. Man, that's super excited. I can't wait to see everything you do in the future, man. You are absolutely an inspiration for anybody out there who's looking
Likewise, brother.
to get into business and really grow it. And so just to recap, man, we're doing real estate sales. We're helping buyers, sellers. We're out there in the leasing market. We're doing that boots on the ground every day. We've got the podcast you're doing. You're a mentor within EXP. You're also in the basically the leadership of the local Wolfpack here in Austin. You and John Michael Perez head that up and do a fantastic job, by the way. What a wonderful group that is. So you got that. You got your family life and your son. Like you've got, man, you got a lot on your plate, man. And I'm blown away. So thank you so much for sharing all that. We're going to throw all of John Michael, or not John Michael. We're talking to John Michael in a couple of weeks. We're talking to Jordan right now. We're going to throw Jordan's social media handles up. Guys, go follow Jordan. Like, let me tell you, he posts some really cool stuff. There was a video you posted not too long ago about, and I think John Michael was in the trunk of the car and you guys were talking. It was just hilarious. Like,
yeah, man.
It was so funny. So go follow Jordan. I promise you, he'll appreciate that. Interact with him. You can reach out to him there as well. We're going to put a link to you guys' podcast here. I know you might be doing some rebranding, but we're going to put a link there because I'm all about cross promotion. I want everybody to get the most out of everybody that they possibly can listen to or take the time to be a sponge and absorb. So we'll put that information up on the video as well. And Jordan, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, brother. Seriously. I mean, being partnered with you, seeing what you're doing in your coaching business with the podcast, you're an inspiration to me, man. And if there's one last lesson or one last little tidbit to the listeners, if you've been waiting for it, I give you permission to go be great and go do something that's going to terrify you. Yeah. You deserve what's on the other side.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about right there. Thank you so much, Jordan. Guys, you've listened to the Epic and Legendary Podcast, episode 2. I'm so excited, guys. This is amazing. So go forth, be awesome, be epic, be legendary, and we'll see you next time. Well, there you have it, everybody. The Epic and Legendary Podcast, episode 2 in the books. I hope you got as much out of that as I did. Huge shout out to my buddy Jordan Brown for taking the time to pour into all of us. I don't know about you guys, but I learned so much from that. I've got a ton of notes that I took from our time together. And let me tell you, I'm going to be applying a lot of those lessons in my personal life and business life. And I hope that you will as well. Hopefully you were able to relate to it. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, guys. You can go to the YouTube channel. All of our full podcasts will be there, including episode 1 and this episode and the future episodes. Give us a like and a follow. It helps us let us know that you enjoyed the content. Also, too, you can hear it on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, all those good guys. Guys, we are also looking for sponsors for the show. So if you're interested in sponsoring and featuring your business here on the Epic and Legendary Podcast, we'd love to chat with you. Reach out to me personally and we can get you the details. Other than that, guys, I hope you go forth, you be awesome, you be epic, and you be legendary. And we'll see you again very soon.